No, the 6-3 vote on June 27, 2025, did not answer the question many thought it answered. It did not say, in that case, who is a citizen at birth? It asked how far one lower court may reach when it thinks a national order is likely wrong. Picture the Supreme Court, where 9 justices faced a 6-3 split over a judge's shield. If that sounds small, remember that the largest doors often turn on quiet hinges. The true matter lies not in one order, but in the fence around power. The case bore the name Trump v. CASA. It grew from Executive Order 14160, sent by President Trump to executive departments. The order told them not to treat some children born here as citizens. Suits came from states, cities, groups for immigrants, asylum groups, and pregnant women. Judges in Massachusetts, Washington, and Maryland blocked the order across the whole nation while the suits went on. Picture a federal court in Massachusetts, with one order reaching far past one case. Picture a courtroom in Maryland, where pregnant women asked what paper their children would hold. The government said a district court may guard only the people before it. The challengers said a national wrong may need a national stop. But what counts as enough protection? The court gave a partial stay. It said, wide orders likely go past the power Congress gave courts, yet wider relief may stand when real parties need it for complete relief. Now the hard question must leave the case and enter the old frame of law. Enough protection is the heart of the matter. A court must shield the hurt before it. It may not use a small suit as a crown. Article 3 speaks of real cases brought by real parties. This rule may sound plain. It is one of liberty's fences. It keeps the judge from making law. It keeps the president from being his own judge. It keeps Congress from sleeping while others fight over power. Picture another court in Washington, where state lawyers ask about birth records and benefits. They fear one rule in one place and another rule elsewhere. Can a narrow order be just when one rule presses on many homes? Sometimes the answer is no. If a state cannot be made whole without broad relief, the court may look that far. If many persons share one hurt, a class action may gather them into one lawful case. The law has a proper door for a wider shield. Picture Executive Order 14160 on a desk in a federal department. A federal officer asks which newborn name the government may mark as a citizen. That is why this fight feels larger than a rule of courts. Yet size alone cannot settle right and wrong. Here lies the hard part. The remedy may save trust, or it may spend trust. When every case becomes a national command, trust wears thin. When real hurt goes without reach, trust also wears thin. The fence must hold both sides, or it becomes no fence at all. To see why this fence matters, look back to the first courts of the Union. The Judiciary Act of 1789 did not give judges a roving charge over all public wrongs. It gave courts work through cases. In the old law of equity, a remedy had a shape. It was made to fit the wound. A judge could act with force, but not as a lawmaker. That old care has lived on. Picture the case name Grupo Mexicano in 1999, set beside the old equity books. It warned that courts may not invent each new power they desire. The old rule gives an answer, but not the easy one. The answer is not helpless courts. The answer is bounded courts. Relief must be strong enough to cure the case. It must be modest enough to stay a court, not a throne. This is why the word complete matters so much. It does not mean every good thing a judge can do. It means the full cure needed for those with a right to sue. That line may be hard to draw, but hard lines are often the lines free people need most. Picture the 14th Amendment, with its words on birth, land, and duty. Its promise is no light thing. Picture United States v. Wong Kim Ark in 1898, with one name tied to a deep question of birth and country. The birthright issue carries great weight, but the CASA ruling did not decide that issue. It decided the tool used while that issue was fought. This difference matters. If the president tests the edge of power, courts must be able to check him. If courts use a check without limit, they test their own edge. Power must have a bridle, even when it wears a robe. This is the hard lesson. A right may need fast aid. A remedy may need firm bounds. Both truths must stand, or one will devour the other. Think of the many fights named around this tool: immigration, federal jobs, federal funds, and deportation policy. In one year, one side calls a wide order wise. In another year, The same side calls it grave abuse. That turn should teach humility. A rule that changes with party is not a rule. It is a weapon. Picture federal agencies reading a court stay and asking which plaintiffs still stand inside its shield. Picture a class action file with states, cities, asylum groups, and mothers under one cover. These are not small forms. They are the doors by which broad harm can enter lawful care. Yet the doors must be watched. Justice Alito warned of loose classes. Justice Kavanaugh noted, "Classes can reach wide." Both points show the same need. The tool must be lawful, clear, and fair. A class may not be a trick name for the same old wide order, but neither should it be made so hard that plain injury cannot be joined. The law must not wink at games. It must not shut out those who stand in the same peril. The test is not whether power can move fast. The test is whether power can stay bound. What then should a steady citizen ask? Do not ask whether the tool helps your side today. Ask whether it would be safe in the hands of a foe. Ask whether the harmed can truly reach the court. Ask whether the judge has stayed within the case. Ask whether Congress has done its duty to set clear rules. No branch should live by fog. The president must not treat citizenship as a gift of office. Courts must not treat their power as a sword for every quarrel. Congress must not sit like a watcher at a cold stove. If old tools no longer fit a large government, lawmakers can mend them. They can set rules for class suits. They can say when wider relief is allowed. They can guard state burdens without giving any judge a blank check. This is not weakness. It is strength with self-rule. Law is patient, but it is not asleep. A people fit for freedom can seek mercy without breaking order. They can seek order without closing their ears to pain. Picture states, cities, immigrant groups, asylum groups, and pregnant women named in one hard fight. They remind you that law touches flesh and blood. The court's partial stay reminds you that even mercy must travel a lawful road. If you can hold that line, hope has a place to stand. I do not fear a republic that argues over the reach of courts. I fear a republic that stops caring about limits. Strong citizens do not cheer every blow against an enemy. They ask whether the blow wounds the frame that guards them all. The Constitution is not a toy for calm days. It is a guide for heat, fear, and sharp need. It tells presidents to act under law. It tells judges to judge under law. It tells citizens to honor law even when their hearts are stirred. The republic can be saved. But it will not be saved by passion alone. It will be saved by clear eyes, steady hands, and a conscience that refuses both cruelty and lawless power. When your cause is dear, will you still keep faith with the law that guards your neighbor too?